This is VOCM Open Line.
Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626.
The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
Indeed it does. Good Friday morning, everyone, and welcome to Open Line. Brian Callahan, still here. No hook yet, Matt Barron, but of course, Matt, of course, is producing the show while Dave Williams takes a bit of a break. And the numbers to call, 709-273-5211. That's it. That's the old standard. And, of course, long distance outside the local calling area at 1-888-590-590-VOCM. And that's 8626, of course. And you can also email us at openline@vocm.com. Again, we get a raft of emails. I get to them as much as I can, and I'll respond in due time. We're not ignoring them. It's just a lot. So this weather roller coaster ride, which I think everybody's calling it now. It feels like it, although I'm not a big fan of roller coasters. But this one in particular, I'll roll with those punches. We're all on this ride today under some gray and gloomy skies around Metro anyway. Wind and rainfall warnings are up for Avalon and South Coast, so the snow should get a beating. But then, of course, temps are going to plummet again. It's going to be up about 8 degrees today. Going to go back to close to -8 by midnight, 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, and hold that way for a little bit into Saturday. And then apparently, God forbid, another snow event or an event. I won't jump too far ahead. But we'll just call it a snow event or an event for now, coming up early next week, apparently. We'll keep an eye on that. And, of course, that can happen in a couple of days, weather-wise. And speaking of roller coaster rides, more adjustments today in the price of fuels. Day to day, gas, diesel, propane, all down, slightly. What do we got? We got slight break on gas, just a cent. But diesel is down by 12.6 again. And let's see, in Labrador, about 12.8, and that's in the 13 and 13A zones, of course. There's a little delineation in the Labrador area. Furnace oil is a decrease of 10.94. That'll come as some break, but it's still hard, boy. I tell you, you're filling up the tank these days. And stove oil, of course, and propane is even down a little bit. So across the board, love to have a rhyme or reason on that, but you know where I stand on that, so I'm not going to belabor that one today. Let's see. Bit of sports for you. The regiment, of course, Newfoundland Regiment. But it took a tough one on the chin last night. They played a great game. I managed to get down to this one, and the atmosphere is incredible. You know, I know some people with the regiment have talked sometimes about, it can be a bit of a library inside Mary Brown's, even for good games, but that's just the knowledgeable fans. People are really into it, watching every little thing. But last night it wasn't like that. The buzz throughout the game was incredible. It's just that loud noise buzz of people into it. There's chatter going on. They're excited. They're watching every play. And, the tempo of play is so high. And the skill level is so high. But we came out on the wrong end of it last night, 3-2, Cape Breton. That's the opening game of the playoffs. Let's see. So, again, tonight at Mary Brown Centre, Game 2. And then it's off to Cape Breton next week for 3 and 4 against the Eagles. And so the regiment move out of the barracks down there, and the NL Rogue move in. And they got a couple of games this weekend back-to-back against the Halifax Hoopers. Let's see, 7 o'clock tomorrow, I think, and 4 o'clock on Sunday. And, of course, the Jays, home and season opener tonight at home against Oakland A's, of course. And the ABS, if you haven't seen it in action yet, the automatic balls and strikes counting, it's wild, and it's a bit of a relief. Again, you only get so many challenges per team, per game, so you got to use them wisely, of course, just like in the other sports. But so you'd see it a lot more in the later innings, of course, when there's a little bit more on the line, unless it's just blatantly obvious to the batters. And some of the best hitters out there know when it's there and when it's not there, as do umpires. But, mistakes happen, and this should correct that. And I was listening to Ross Atkins with the Jays yesterday, answering some preseason comments, asking some preseason questions, of course, a Q&A with the Jays management and ownership, and I loved his answer. It was like, what's the expectation? Obviously, it's to get over that hump and win the World Series this year. And he said, no, it's really just compete. every day compete at a high level. And, he went on to some detail. But, yeah, I love that answer. It's not like, no, we got to get back to the World Series. No, we just have to stick with the plan. And the plan worked last year, whatever way they got there. Fell just slightly short of just wasn't meant to be with those last couple of plays to end the World Series last year. And again, Canada-Iceland tomorrow in a warm-up soccer friendly. Iceland is no pushover. As I mentioned the other day, they got to the quarters of the Euro 2016. And, when you're just a team, as opposed to players playing all over the world and just getting together as a team every now and then, makes a big difference. And they are a cohesive unit, to say the least. So that'll be interesting. A lot of those warm-ups. Some teams are still trying to qualify, including Italy, who Canada could face in its first game through the qualification process, depending on how it all works out. So there you go. And the Herder. The Herder senior hockey primacy in this province is set to go tonight in Kelligrews in CBS, Deer Lake Red Wings and the Blues, Deception Bay South Blues. But again, we all know the problems here. This late addition of players for the Red Wings has gotten the ire, of course, of the Blues, and rightly so. And it's not even so much that decision to do it. It's the way it's been rolled out. It's the communication and the lack of transparency, according to the Blues and according to the Avalon League reps. The way this was done, everybody gets the imports. But when you're adding players at the last second, like the week or days, 2 or 3, 4 days before the actual finals begin, and then there's no communication on why or how or rhyme or reason or anything like, well, you can completely understand that they're somewhat miffed. I mean, the import issue is forever and a year and a day. Will always be an issue. But, some understanding of the process, I agree. And apparently to this moment, there's still been silence from the league, despite the numerous requests from the Blues and the Avalon League for an explanation as to how they were able to add a couple of, high flyers for the finals. Seasoned NHL goalie, almost 200 games under his belt, and a former player with the French national team. So we'll see what happens there. There was, I thought, I don't know, veiled or otherwise, insinuation or threat or a suggestion that the Blues might be thinking about not showing up for the game tonight over this, but I haven't seen any talk of that in the last little while. And we have communication. I have letters that I've seen back and forth, and I have them in front of me. Not going to go right into all the details, but it's basically what I just said. And if any reps from any of the teams or the leagues would like to shed some light on it, especially if I misspoke, which is easy to do in the moment. So again, they're saying it's the process, communication, the, quote, ad hoc nature of the way the players were added to the Red Wings. I'm all over that. And World Curling men's, first Worlds for Brad Jacobs and his crew. They get underway today in Ogden, Utah in the United States. And let's see, Canada's first 2 games, Korea this afternoon, and then Italy tonight. I think Newfoundland time, let's see, that's 5. I think it's 5 Eastern Newfoundland time for the first game against Korea, and 10:30 tonight against Italy. Yeah. And, of course, the last time Canada won a world men's curling title, Brad Gujau, 2017. So there you go. All right, on to some of the weightier, meatier subjects of the day here. And okay, so the doctors' petition that has been signed and distributed by about 250 doctors in the province, this is all over the rollout of CoreCare. And I attended a number of these sessions last year and news conferences with the former CEO of NL Health Services, Pat Parfrey. And Dr. Parfrey, by all means, I'm sure you're biting your tongue a little bit. But, if you so choose, if you'd love to come on and even just give us a little review of, the news conferences and the details that were rolled out then, you know it better than most people, as do others with the system who are no longer in the system. So when you have a full-on CoreCare system, which is supposed to really transform part of NL, the health accord as well, getting more access, and that is connectivity with doctors, with patient files, no matter where you are in the province. So trying to just boil it down to what it is, that's what it is. This is a full-on, there's a lot of training going on for this new program to roll out. It's supposed to roll out as of April. And, there was a lot of excitement about it last year. And of course, doctors don't deny that this will eventually be a massive sea change for the system and should be able to make things more efficient and hopefully more accurate and hopefully more timely for patients. But again, when you have more than 200 doctors, and how many do we have in the province anyway, signing this petition seeking, a little bit of time and even like a phased-in approach with this core care system, as opposed to just trying to rush through all the training and now I say rush through, but I mean, not my words, others' words, but just trying to put this all out there and transform it, especially when you've had a new government and a whole new system come through this, come in place, and there's a big learning curve here. But look, on the surface, and we can talk about this. There's a lot of detail. I only want to touch on subjects at this point because there's just so much. And again, I do get emails saying, "Why didn't you talk about this?" I'll talk about whatever you want to talk to. But the key thing for me with this petition and the rollout and the controversy now, and the doctors saying we need to push the brakes and all the rest of it, we're okay. You know why? Because we have a doctor in the Premier's office advising the Premier on these very issues, making almost $300,000 a year, Dr. Des Whalen. So, we should be good. This is exactly why, if we want to put the real rubber to the road here and say, okay, it could even put the opposition back a little bit if we can prove, and if Dr. Des Whalen could solve this. That's what he's there for. He's a doctor. He's advising the Premier. They've justified or attempted to justify publicly this $275,000 salary for a doctor advising the Premier in the Premier's office. Well, here we go. This is perfect. We're fine. We're set up. This is brilliant, really, because he's right there and he can advise the Premier. And so he'll be worth his salary, in theory. So any thoughts on that you'd like to share along? I mean, maybe this was the plan all along. I don't know. But if it was brilliant. And so now Dr. Des Whalen will earn his salary, I imagine, because he's the advisor to the Premier for a lot of money. So let's see if he can solve this one, because he can relate to what the doctors are talking about because he's a doctor. All right. I'm not going to go on. And, of course, I see, too, where some of the training anyway, is going on at the former Old Waterford Hospital. And I had asked numerous questions about the fate of that building and the property. Nobody had really, they were saying there were still some services, blood collection, all those things will still go on. But I didn't see a heads up that it would now be a training site as well. So, there we go. Any thought about that? I am all ears. And if anyone thinks that the tragedy at the LaGuardia Airport this week involving the Air Canada Express flight and when you put the unpreventable word in front of this, it just adds to it. But just a horrific set of circumstances, freak set of circumstances that, conspired to cause this crash. And again, you got to let the investigation play itself out. But, yesterday, even more incidents at different airports in the United States. Look, it's not a LaGuardia Airport issue, as many of us know. It is staffing across the board. Not just air traffic controllers, as we know, the TSA agents, the security agents, of course. Imagine not being paid for 2 months and expected to still do your job for the pittance that you are getting paid. And, their union is even pointing to people going selling blood plasma to make ends meet, while the government and Congress holds up their pay, and they're still expected to go to work. And don't complain, because if you do, you might get canned. And if you don't complain as well, we'll reward you maybe with a bonus of 10 grand. This is what's going on. And boy, oh boy, it makes your head spin. I was going to try to keep it light on a Friday here, Matt, but oh my God. And we can also get into other issues. There is of course, the report on RCMP monitoring of Indigenous leaders going way back to the 70s. The Prime Minister Carney has called this reprehensible, should never have happened, of course. He's absolutely right. But it was another time, and of course, it is shocking to us in this time. Should have been shocking to us at that time, but it was a different time. And one thing that can apply to all of these historic cases of things happening in the past that we all find shocking and reprehensible today, it's because we have evolved as humans, whereas in the day we had not. So, hindsight is beyond 2020 in this case, and that is to say how wrong our treatment has been of Indigenous people over the years, no question. But I can't say I'm surprised about the revelations of RCMP monitoring in this case. And other cases, we can only imagine in the other years, in the Oka conflict and those sorts of things. I'm sure it was going on then too. But we'll find out, because reports take a long time for them to be, get to the forefront, especially if it's confidential or any other issues regarding RCMP or CSIS work or any kind of things like that. And it's all quiet still on the Churchill Falls MOU front. That's despite, the April timeline to complete the independent review of the MOU that the former Liberal government had signed with the Quebec government and François Legault. Meanwhile, the opposition Liberals, of course, in this province are pointing to the overtures that are being made to Quebec, to Nova Scotia, regarding potential wind farms and wind energy and other options that they see. And the leader of the official opposition, Liberal leader, John Hogan, sees that as a caution that, we snooze, we lose on Churchill Falls. Quebec will just go elsewhere and find other sources. But, Gull and Churchill Falls expansion are more than just other sources. I think Quebec will always have an interest, and I don't think they're going to turn their back that quickly. But it does remind us that everybody is looking for alternative sources. And if they're held up at any point, and if there are delays, they'll move on. They'll look elsewhere. And so the clock is ticking, and the time is running out on, I don't know how artificial or how solid the deadline was to get this independent review done and the MOU across the finish line for April. But it's just eerily quiet on that front, that there's no mention of it. Lots of focus on Beta Nord, which again, are we putting all our eggs in that basket and just going to park the MOU on Churchill for now? Lots of questions. We still don't know. And, what was I going to say there? Especially, the so-called target date for completion of the review and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, tax deadline's coming up. Just a little reminder, not that you needed it. I know I just made a lot of eyes roll and a little pit in the stomach. But, got to get her done. But there are organizations, I look around, there are more and more organizations trying to make this simple. CRA, this should not be difficult. And the easier CRA even can make it, with whether it's tax filing online and all these other issues. And there's lots of free services out there, of course, for the more vulnerable, the seniors and people of lower income and that sort of thing at the Legion and all those sort of things. We can get into those. We've had some emails about tax clinics are available this weekend as well, so we can discuss that too. And let's see. Amazed me the other day to see the lineup for the Great Big Book Sale. We can talk about that. I'm not a big book reader, believe it or not, even though I kind of wrote one. But I'm just not. I can't get to 2 pages, even of my own, and I'm off to La La Land. So that's weird for me. I can't get through it. And let me see. Matt, oh my God, 9:17, and I got 2 callers in the queue. Well, let's get to that. Let's take our first break in the morning. I throw out as much as I can. There's the Battery, Placentia, Argentia. People talk Marine Atlantic, of course. We can talk about that again. I just noticed, looking at some numbers, that the bookings are up 50%, and a lot of the runs and the trips are already sold out. So talking about extra capacity, we can get into that again today. All of those topics up for discussion on the Friday edition of Open Line. We'll be right back.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. Just a quick note. One other thing I did mean to mention. The NDP, of course, Federal Leadership Convention is this weekend in Winnipeg. And our own Newfoundlander, St. John's, Mary Shortall, president of the National Party. Shout out to her. We're going to send her a message, see if we can get her on for a short chat in the lead up. I know she's not busy at all. 5 in this race, and they've been traversing the country looking for support. It's a bit of an uphill climb. 6 MPs now, just lost 1 to the Liberals, and we'll see how that all works out this weekend. They've not for the faint of heart, that job, that's for sure right now in the political climate that we exist. Let's go right to line number 2, and Dave, you're on the air.
Hello.
Morning.
How you doing?
Good, bye. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. That's good to hear.
Listen, excuse me for a minute. I took a heart attack there Monday.
Jesus. How are you?
Yeah, I'm still good now. And I got to say something good about the place, because the ambulance took me in from here to Carbonear.
Where's here, Dave? Where's here?
Yeah. But the ambulance took me from New Harbour to Carbonear.
Gotcha.
And the 2 guys on the truck, I mean, they were excellent. They really knew what they were doing. And then when I went in there, to Carbonear, they took me from that in a helicopter and went to St. John's, which was good. And when I got in St. John's, man, they were excellent. I couldn't ask for a better. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know if I was King Tut or who what. But man, they treated me good. Excellent. Now all the nurses there was perfect. You couldn't ask for no better, you know. And I got to say that I had a little people let the people know how good they were. They were in checking you every half an hour. They were there checking you and asking questions and. Man, they were beautiful. So I figured I should get the phone in and let you know that was something good about the health science.
Dave, it is so. I'm so glad you called because these stories are out there, and you know this show is predominantly blocked with complaints. You know, most people are
right.
You know, you've heard it, which I know is why you were spurred to call yourself.
That's exactly.
And I just look for people out there who go through this. I'm in my late 50s, you know. You think you're the picture of health. I remember former Mayor of St. John's, Dennis O'Keefe, picture of health, walker, never stopped, good shape. And he was only a moment away from, you know, a serious heart attack and potentially fatal, the doctor told him. He happened to be right there in for his check, you know. How was the experience for you? What were you doing, and do you have a history?
Well, no, but I had 3 stints put in, actually.
Yep.
And it was a very serious heart attack. But what I say, I think I took 6 aspirins before I left.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was treated so good, you know, and all the people was right on the ball with everything. That's what I'm saying. Most times you get called, there's always something bad, but they were excellent. I got to say that, you know.
It goes without.
And I want to appreciate it. I really appreciate what they were doing. And that's the reason I called in. I said, man, I got to let them know the girls was excellent over there. And the doctor was good, too. They were all excellent. He put 3 stints in. I didn't even know they were doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was perfect.
You know, and we can complain all we want, but these calls are so important. And look, it's been said, you know, not ad nauseum. It should be said all the time in these conversations. This isn't the issues with healthcare aren't the people ultimately.
That's right.
The people are up against it, and the best. And even when it is the people who might be this issue or that issue, it's usually because they are up against it. Whether or not it's the stresses, the overwork nature, the shortages. You know, people don't get into healthcare as a hobby. They get into it because they want to help people, and then they get in, and then there are barriers, right? We see every day.
That's exactly right. So I figured you get something good, you should let them know.
Yep.
Most people focus on do something wrong there, but if they're good, little people know how good they are. You know? Absolutely.
And Dave, it sounds like you made use of all the transportation options out there. What did you do? Did you call? Did someone call for you?
No, my wife called for ambulance.
Okay, and she just called what number did she call?
911.
Okay, and they sent an ambulance.
And they were on the ball within, I'd say, 10 minutes.
Wow.
And then 2 people in the 2 young guys, man, they were good too. I mean, they watched everything.
Didn't get their names, did you? I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
No, but you know, I
First
don't know
names,
their names actually, but I should have got them. I should have got their names, right?
Yeah.
Because, they were excellent all the way over, and like I said, they never wasted no time.
Jeez.
You know, it was a speedy operation actually.
But if I were you, I would expect a call from the government. I'm sure they'll want to have a chat with you because you could be the poster child for their insistence that things are going to get better under them. But I don't want to make this political, but, you know, it's going to be. It's going to be made that way. People will reference, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Dave,
and like I said, I don't know if the crowding into the hospital over there in St. John's Health Science, I don't know if it was angels or what it was, but they were perfect. Yeah, perfect.
But that speaks volumes considering the stresses that they are under. And I'm sorry, I don't mean, you know, the health service going, oh my God, the stresses. But it's true. It's constant. So to know that you went in through that system and came out on the other side to call us today, and you sound like you're doing so much better. And
oh, God, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, I feel a lot better. And They put 3 stints in, and they broke the blockage that was in the valve. They went up through, and I didn't even know they were doing it, actually. And he said, okay, you're finished. I said, man, what? You know, and they kept me there. They fed me every day, and they checked it on me every half an hour. And, you know, man, they were good, I got to say. You couldn't ask for no better service.
Yep, nothing else said to be said as far as, I'm not even going to joke about it. This is an important call, and, you know, especially from the norm. And people need to know that the people are doing good work when they are in a position to do it. Yeah, and even the helicopter flight, hey, all of that.
Yeah, helicopter flight either.
How long did that take to get to you? In
20 minutes.
Jeez.
From Carbonaire to St. John's.
And some people are probably saying, well, you got him on a good day. It doesn't matter. It could happen at any time. And the fact that
anytime, anytime. But it was good. And they brought me in there, dropped me off, shoved me, put me in the hospital over there, and bam, they were right on the ball right every minute. And never had no waiting, no nothing.
Wow.
It was perfect. Good, I got to say, look, there was a bunch from heaven wouldn't have been no better than it. I thought I was some kind of special person or something. You know?
Your name's not Wakeham and it's not Fury, so there you go.
That's right, exactly.
Not to suggest, but you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Got to be careful with my tongue-in-cheekness. Dave, look, I couldn't have had a better call to start off the morning on a Friday like that.
Well, I hope so.
So more people should, you know, take advantage of that situation because, you know, just to even out the calls that we get that aren't so friendly, you know what I mean, and aren't so positive. So I'm really glad you're feeling well.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
And I'm really glad it worked out for you there. That's great. Stay in touch. And, you know, anytime you want to call in and remind us of how good the system was to you, you're more than welcome.
All right, buddy.
Okay, take care of yourself.
Same to you.
Thanks again for the call.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Wicked. That's a nice turn of events. And I say that, again, we'll try to beat that death, but we know disproportionately the calls are not positive regarding healthcare, but that one just warms the cockles of my heart. That's what I'm going to say. Let's take our break there, Maddie, and we'll come back with Donna, who wants to talk about tinted windows on vehicles right after the break.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. Let's go right to line number 1 as promised. And Donna, you're on the air.
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Morning. Pretty good. Thanks.
Oh, happy Friday.
Yeah, I say that sometimes, keeping in mind that Fridays aren't what they used to be. You know, there's a lot of people working 2-3 jobs at a time, and a lot of those extra jobs are on weekends, or, you know, the hours and normal work hours are not normal anymore. They're all over the place. So whenever I say, oh, you must be happy it's Friday, well, no, I'm working the weekend. So I'm always wary of that. But yes, I will take it.
Yeah. I'm going to talk quickly about the window tinting, and I'm also going to make a comment about what David just said. I've noticed, Brian, that I'd say within the last 5-6 years, there's a lot of vehicles that have total blackout tint. Like I'm driving and I see these people, they're coming right at me, and you can't see who the driver is. That's how blacked out it is. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering, it's like I was saying to Matt, I said, you know, I understand like a lot of new Canadians come in and probably from where they're from, the heat and everything is so intense that they use tint to help deflect the heat from coming into the vehicles. But just to let them know, they ain't got no worries about that here. You know, it'll never be that hot here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we had some hot days last summer where you wouldn't want anything that's alive left in a vehicle alone. I mean, we remember how hot it got last summer with the fires and that sort of thing. But yes, no, point taken.
Yeah.
Still there, Donna?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So go ahead.
Yep. So, I was in a parking lot. I'm a school bus driver. And I was in the parking lot one day. I seen this car come in, and I don't think it passed inspection, number one. But it had a Novus driver sign on the back of it. And what they did was they actually tinted over half of the Novus driver on the outside. They actually tinted on the outside.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking, I'm like, what are you people thinking? Like, seriously, stop doing this to the vehicles. But nothing's being done. Absolutely. Like, I don't see anyone being pulled over by the police. And, I mean, that used to be a big thing. You know, if you had tinted windows, guaranteed a cop was going to pull you over and make you take that tint off. You know, but, like, I'm not seeing it. So I'm wondering, like, when these vehicles go in for inspection, like when people buy them, should the mechanic be able to actually check the tint and pass or fail the vehicle for inspection based on that? You know, I figured that would be something.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, you know, if you're gonna put it on the shoulders of the mechanic and that sort of thing, I don't think that'll happen in a private garage setting unless there's some kind of, compensation for that. You know, let's just review. You have to have at least 70% of light to pass through front side windows. First of all, you know, the windshield itself, there is supposed to be, by law, no aftermarket tint is allowed for the windshield. So a clear, non-tinted, you know, sun visor strip or whatever is permitted. And that's only, and then it gets into real technical, like 15 centimeters from the top of the window down. The back side and rear windows, any darkness percentage is permitted. I thought there were some kind of restrictions on side windows, but apparently not. You know, it does not, I'm just looking at the mandatory equipment, does not strictly mandate exterior rear view mirrors. But yeah, 70% of light must pass through. Any tint film added to manufactured tinted glass often makes it look too dark. Again, the trick here, and Donna, you mentioned, you know, I never see anyone pulled over for it. It's hard to say why anyone's getting pulled over. I mean, you know, you don't really know. And, of course, we're never everywhere to see who's getting pulled over how often. So to say, and no offense, I mean, I get what you're saying, but the odds of seeing anyone pulled over for anything are pretty rare. I mean, you don't often see it. You might see it on the highway more often than you do in town. But that's just because of what they're up against, you know, I mean, what the RNC are up against. Once you go down the road of pulling someone over for something like that, you're taken away. Maybe sometimes, and especially if you have to somehow, and I don't know how many officers are trained to actually, you know, measure the window, and how do you do it on a roadside check? I mean, it must be you know, it seems unrealistic to expect an RNC officer to pull over a car and do all of the tests for tinted side windows when we know there's a lot more going on, and they know a lot more going on. The last thing they want to be hauled in for is, you know, to an office and said, you know, while this was going on, look what else was going on. Or, you know, I mean, they're asked to pick their battles, right? They have to, because we are limited with our officers these days. We know there's more stories in the news today about recruitment issues with the RCMP and with the RNC. So, you know, they are doing their best. But if you tie up an RNC officer, as you know, important and as valuable as each one is right now to us, doing this kind of stuff, people will question whether or not that's what they should be tied up doing, you know?
Yes, and, you know, I understand that. When I lived in the U.S., I was there for 10 years, and one of the places I lived was in Baltimore. So I know what it's a very high crime rate area.
Not according to the President of the United States. He says he's got it all cleaned up in that area.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Trump is delusional. Yeah. But anyway, the biggest thing that I noticed in that area is most of the people that had tinted out windows were criminals. Okay, that's the perception that was there. Anytime that a police officer out there had pulled somebody over, the first thing that they were concerned about was whether that person was carrying a handgun. Yeah. And the tinted out windows was a big no-no there for that reason. And they wanted to know who was in the vehicles. Yep. They wanted to know if the people were carrying. And it seems like to me, I'm looking at all these blacked out windows and I'm like, okay, so what's the criminality behind this? If there is any, you know? So I'm just, that kind of makes me weary, is like, where are we going? You know, and I understand what you're saying, Brian, about the RNC being stretched to the limit, you know, all these drug cases they're chasing and, you know, all this good stuff. But
convenience store robberies. I mean, oh my God. Anyway, yeah.
It's insane. It's insane. And the other topic, like Dave said, my mother was very ill. Unfortunately, she passed last month due to her illness.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, you know, it is, and today is her birthday, you know. Yeah, but she was brought to the health science a couple of times, and she was in the emergency. She was brought right into ER, and the staff there were beyond, like completely compassionate, very capable. They took amazing care of her. And like Dave said, they were always in checking on her. They were making sure that she was comfortable and that she felt good. And unfortunately, they sent her home, and 2 weeks later, she ended back up in an emergency again, and she was there for about a month and a half before she passed. But you know, and saying that, one of the staff members, he's, I think, I can't, like, don't hold me to it, but I think he's a cardiologist. Like, he specializes in heart health, and his name is Dr. Buckley, and I wanted to name him and his staff for their outstanding care and compassion and just knowledge and, you know, everything that they did for her. And at the end of it, she was in a position where it was very difficult for her, and it was very difficult for my sister and myself to watch. It was just so painful. And, you know, just the compassion that they showed.
Yeah, and under the stresses that they are under. We know it, right? There's no question. We've all been through the system. And you can tell they're doing the best they can. And sometimes the people who complain have legitimate concerns, and others, they're repetitive users of the system and will never be happy. So, for whatever reason. And that's not to reflect on anyone who goes to the hospital arguably has a good reason for going there. But that's why we're trying to work to have alternate places to go. But of everything that they're under, it is so good to hear these kind of, you know, anecdotal and firsthand accounts that, given the proper resources, given the proper break, given the proper vacation time, compensation, benefits, whatever, you know, it can be a very good system. And even right now, under the current circumstances, which we all agree were stretched to the max, yet you're still there. That care is still being presented and provided.
Like, in my opinion, Brian, I right at this moment, compared to, let's say, events that happened to me in the past, it's all based on the doctors. It's all based on the nurses. It's all based on their training. It's all based on the fields that they chose. And it's getting better. Like, I know that this doctor that's under Premier Wakeham, you know, the $300,000 man, I personally think that he would have been more effective if he was still practicing, not being a politician.
I think, that's the consensus. He's a doctor, and we need doctors, and he's a good one.
Exactly. Yeah, and we need good doctors. Like Fury, like he's with the National Bank of Canada or something now.
On the board,
like,
appointed.
If anything, it's like, you know, he doesn't want to be a doctor anymore, and that's fine. I had him as a doctor, and believe me, he's probably doing better where he is right now. But, you know, with the doctors that we currently have in the health science that are practicing, and like you said, they're doing their hours, they're doing over hours, they're stressed to the limit. They're actually really, really good doctors there. Really good doctors there.
And, you know, that comes to the heart of the other part of this whole schmozzle and what we're trying to do with healthcare, and that is retention. The question is, how do we keep them? We can't lose the doctors that are providing the care that you're talking about. And, you know, Donna, some people might say, wow, she just lost her mom and all, and I'm so sorry for that. But here you are speaking positively about the healthcare system in the face of that. Not that it would have been their fault.
Right there.
Yeah.
No. And Dr. Buckley, like when we initially saw him, he was down in the ER. But as my mother progressively gotten ill, he actually came upstairs and like sat down and talked to my sister and myself, and, you know, just because she wasn't in any position, my mother, to be talked to regarding what her condition was, and she was failing, and we all knew that. She had 82 years, not all of them good, but she did had 82 years, and they treated her with a lot of dignity and respect.
Yeah.
And that was very important.
82 is a pretty good run. It's hard to lose. it's just, it's a parent is a parent. It doesn't matter what age, but, you hope we get some years out of it and some years with them when we grow up and they grow old and we have those times, those special times, grandkids, great-grandkids. But 82 is pretty good, I have to say, depending on quality of life up to that point, no?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, Brian, she didn't have I tell you, like, she lived her life. And, I mean, she partied and she did everything. But, I mean, a lot of it was pure spite to keep her going. But, I mean, 82 years old was a good run, I got to say.
Absolutely. Donna, look, I got to get off the break. I really appreciate the call. And let's keep the positive healthcare stories coming because we know they're out there.
I know. And everyone else should be doing that, too. Absolutely.
And I'll stay on the vehicle window tinted thing. You never know. Maybe I can get some numbers, how many. This is the other thing, just before you go. Fines are what, $25 to $50. So there's the other thing. Yeah. It's not bringing in much to the coffers. So it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of administration, a lot of time pulling over somebody for not a lot of payback for the government coffers. So that might be another a factor. I can't say it is, but all of these things factor in.
And texting. That's
exactly.
Another thing. So
oh, God.
That's another day.
Another chat. Thanks so much, Donna. Have a great weekend.
You too, Brian. Take care.
Take care. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
Goodbye. And we're up to that break. Coming back with the president of the New Democratic Party of Canada, Mary Shortall, right after the break.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Come back to the show, right to line number 3. And Mary Shortall, the president of the NDP of Canada, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm great, Mary. Busy weekend for you guys. Thank you very much for making time for the program. I don't think we gave you 5 minutes and you called back. So thank you so much. I don't know how you're doing it, but are you in Ottawa? Or Winnipeg?
I'm in Winnipeg, yeah. Got in mid-afternoon yesterday, I guess. Convention starts today,
So this will be your first as the president, of course, of the party. Yeah. Just talk to me about this experience and what you're expecting.
Well, it's been almost 3 years, I guess, since I was elected president last convention, and I guess it's probably been the toughest 3 years for the party in a long time. Yeah. But it's been really exciting actually to see. I think we're going to bring people together now from right across the country. There's about 2,000 delegates, but those are people who've been very active in their party and have been working really, really hard since the last election. And because we've, since last April, I guess it's been a tough slog for people of the party, but it's also been we've also seen a bunch of different things happening, right? There's pressures from beyond the borders that are out of our control. There's the political landscape is changing every day almost, right? And not always in a way that reflects the realities of the people around here. I think we've had to confront some difficult questions about where we are, where we need to go. So It's really been, even though it's been a tough year, it's been a really good opportunity for New Democrats and for Canadians, really, to take stock of where we're going, what we need to do, what's the role of the NDP in Parliament, because there's still challenges for people out there. I mean, last month alone across the country, there was 84,000 job layoffs. People are still struggling. The cost of living is not getting any better. Housing continues to be a crisis. Affordability continues to be a crisis. And more than ever before, I think the voice of the NDP is going to be really, really important because that voice of the left or that voice of working people will make the community stronger. So, for example, we have provinces across Canada who are opening their doors to more private health care. We have the cost of groceries is soaring now with all the stuff that's happening across the world and stuff. People are still, here it's freezing cold up here, and there's people still living on the streets, the people that can't find affordable housing. So I think this is a time when people are excited. So they've been talking to people for the whole year. They've been rebuilding and renewing, and a leadership convention has brought in, or leadership race has brought in new new members. It's brought in new ideas. It's had those discussions are happening where they haven't happened for a long time. People have been organizing in their communities. People have really strong ideas about how they want to see this party rebuild and how we're going to do it. There are more resolutions and constitutional amendments that are being presented in the next 2 days than normal, which means people have really been talking. So there's a lot of excitement here. There's a lot of hope here. There's a lot of people itching to get up on the mic and talk about how they feel about some of those issues that should be priorities for our party.
Yeah, it's fascinating times, Mary, to say the least.
Yeah.
Political landscape, global landscape, everything. And, you know, the emergence of Mr. Carney on the landscape certainly threw Mr. Poilievre into a tailspin, as we saw, and everything changed. You know, largely, in large part, everything has changed due to the leadership or lack thereof south of the border. How do you stay relevant? I mean, the question, you know, we watch MPs defect, you know, jump ship all the time right now because, you know, the Carney message is one that people can, you know, certainly relate to and latch onto right now. You know, let's park the politics. We need to everything in every aspect of government now, and even in business. You know, former foes are being asked to, you know, lay down the swords and come together, put good, solid heads together, and find common solutions as opposed to the same old rhetoric and fighting each other in question period.
Yeah, but those common solutions have to include solutions that benefit ordinary people or working people right across the country, right? And I think what people are seeing now, although I really believe that the small NDP caucus has been very relevant in getting workers' voices out there, right? And being that the opposition on issues that people, that government really needs to hear, right? Well, because I think what people are finding is that the federal Liberals are doing a lot of work in a certain area, but they've also taken a more conservative stand on those things. And while all of that is going on, there needs to be a party that holds government to account. And I know Jim Dinn is up here this weekend as well, and we've had that conversation about how important those voices are in the Newfoundland Parliament, right, in the Newfoundland House of Assembly. It's the same federally, right? So because people don't always feel, workers don't always feel like the current Liberal government or even past Liberal governments have been fighting for them, right? The policies are more conservative, like cutting jobs, cutting public services, privatizing those services that people rely on, not building, you know, strong communities, or not dealing with the real costs of living crises that people are in right now. And there'll always be that need for the New Democratic Party. And I think what will happen at this convention, because people have been voting, you know, there's no actual voting at convention. The voting for the leader has happened. It ends tomorrow. And on Sunday, the new leader will come out and talk about their vision.
Oh, so there's work being done in the studio, and we just lost Mary. I'll have to apologize to Mary. Yeah, I see people working in the studio. I think that's what that was. I did not cut off Mary Shortall. Never, my longtime friend. Well, look at that. We're right at the top of the hour anyway, right at the 10 o'clock news hour. Let's take that news with Brian Medora, and we'll be right back. We'll fix up all those tech issues right after the news.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the program. And yeah, I just wanted to clear something up. I may have misspoke. I got a couple of notes there. And if I said it, because you're saying so much stuff off the top of your head. And if I only misspoke about one thing this morning, then we're doing good. But no, the tax deadline, thank you for the couple of emails that I got and other messages. Just clarifying, the tax deadline, of course, is April 30th, not the 1st. That would be a bad April Fool's joke. And, of course, for self-employed individuals, people who are self-employed, June the 15th of 2016, of course, but balance is owing, paid by April 30th as well. RSP contributions, I think that's passed March 2nd. So there you go. Yes, April 30th, not April 1st, if I had said that. My sincerest apologies. Let's go back and join Mary Shortall. Mary, I'm really apologize for that just before the break. I looked up and there were technicians working on the phones and I went, oh, that's probably what happened. So I didn't cut you off.
Oh, that's okay. I kept talking anyway, so I don't know, because I didn't know I was cut off, and then it was very silent. So no problem at all. I understand.
Yeah. So I mean, I know you're not. You don't. The president doesn't necessarily come out and say I got a horse in the race, but it looks like it's shaping up. There's a couple of let's say Avi Lewis looks like he's. And maybe. Well, I shouldn't say it. Avi was just here recently, but. 5 candidates. I mean, it's great that you have that interest. I'm not sure we'll ever see another of the likes of Jack Layton, but I'm sure you're happy with the quality of the candidates who've come forward.
Oh, absolutely. And they've been there's been a lot, not just the main debates that have happened, right? They have had side discussions and, online forums right across the country. There has probably never been that kind of opportunity for members to talk to a leadership candidate about what matters to them. And what's really been important there, I mean, they're all New Democrats, and they all come from the same vision and the same principles, but they all have priorities and the way they would lead the party if they get elected. So that discussion has been really, really good, and that's why I think there's a lot of delegates at this convention. There's a lot of discussion around it, and there'll always be. And I don't know if you heard this part when before the phone went, but there always is a need, and I think very strongly that if you don't have leaders pushing, but it's not just the leader that makes the party. It's the members as well, and it's the volunteers who do all that work all throughout the year, and those are the people who will be pushing the leader, to work on the issues that matter to them. And I think those are the reasons why the NDP is so important. Things like, the things that were negotiated with the Liberal government in the last Parliament, those things are very real. Dental care is very real. Millions of Canadians are benefiting from it. And so you need that voice that represents the working people right across in their communities. Yeah, it must
be a little frustrating to be the supplier of these great ideas and that sort of thing, and then just still have to take the back seat and get some credit. But a lot of people forget that credit is, credit where credit is due. These were as you mentioned, these programs. Of course, provincial government has yet to sign on to the pharmacare. Any comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're committed to it, so I hope they follow through on that, because that's also really, really important. I mean, there's still people in our province, and I've talked to lots of them when I was campaigning as well, right? Like that are really, truly not able to afford their medication, and that's hurting their own health, obviously. Sometimes critically, but it's also putting a extra burden on our healthcare system. So it really is important. Sometimes that extra cost up front is not only helpful to the people that it serves, but helpful for the bottom line and the economy as well. So those are the discussions I think that are really, really important to have. And there's going to be a lot of those type of discussions going on in the next 2 days. I think people will leave here feeling really invigorated, feeling really inspired by whoever wins the leadership race, because they're going to bring their vision and their excitement and their hope forward on Sunday. There'll be, there's a whole new executive being elected as well. And I think what we're seeing now is like a new generation of activists and NDP, really strong NDP folks wanting to come forward too and participate. Whereas, when you kind of get status quo, when things are going okay, and it's always like you're always struggling to find people to get involved, struggling to find people to take leadership roles, but that's not the case. There's lots of people who are excited about putting their name forward, and that's a lot of hard work to do that, and it's all volunteer work. So that's a sign to me that we're that we were really. That something really good is going to come out of our disastrous, our disastrous year when the election happened.
Well, I think that's why they have you. You call it like it is. It was, I'm glad you used the word disastrous, not me, because, we got to call it what it is sometimes, because if you skirt that issue, then people wonder, how upfront are people being? I wonder, you mentioned the executive will be elected as well. Are you still staying on, being challenged for president?
No, I've been. I guess I've been involved in this party for 40 years on so many different levels, and it's been the honor of my life to be the president of the federal party, because that's a role I've never took before. And like provincially, I've been more involved, I guess, right? And it gave me a whole new perspective on things, and it was so exciting to meet so many people from. From outside my own comfort level, right? I'm used to what happens in my own corner. But although a lot of our issues are the same, there's so many regional dynamics and so many demographic dynamics and stuff, and it's been an absolute honor for me. But really, you need to know when it's time for that younger generation to come forward and with their ideas. I remember what I was like then, how much I wanted to be that person who could share their ideas with a lot of people. So I am so excited that there'll be some same people there as well. But if the election happens, right? I'm sure there'll be some people who will still be there, and they'll carry that experience forward. But new people with new ideas and new energy and new excitement. I mean, that's the best we can hope for a party, that party that I love so much, right? The party that kind of shaped who I am, right? So
the short answer is no. You're moving on.
Yeah, no. I said no in the beginning.
Oh, sorry,
no,
I couldn't.
Not re-offering, but
yeah.
I know. But I'll be around. I'm not going away or anything.
Yeah. What's
right?
next?
Well, with the party, I'll always be there, right? Provincially and federally, there's lots of opportunities to get involved at different levels or to, to be around. So, I'm not going away. I'm just gonna do the backroom stuff that I enjoy doing. That's fun too.
So, last thing, on Sunday, can you give me like a rough time, even if it's Central Time Zone? Of when people, because it's a busy weekend, lots of people probably not sitting down watching the whole thing unless they're invested, a member of the party, and on as it goes. Not that there won't be interest, but for people who just want to see the moment of the announcement of the next leader, roughly time, what time would that be Sunday, if people wanted to tune in?
On Sunday morning, Central Time, which is 9:30, so 10:30, 11, noon in Newfoundland, the John Davies will speak as the interim leader. And then right after that, the order of the day will be the announcement of the leadership results and the speech from the leader. So 9:50, that's scheduled. And I expect that will, that leader will probably speak for a half hour or 40 minutes, right? And, by the time it's all done. So around, I would tune in around 9:30.
9:30 Newfoundland time. Yep. Around noon time to catch it all.
Yeah.
Great. Mary, look, I appreciate the time as always. You've always been right there, and that was almost record response this morning. So given everything you got on the go, we really appreciate you making time for the program.
Oh, no. It's important to have these chats, and it's important to share what's going on. There's enough rumors out there. It's nice to have someone who's here to be able to talk about the excitement of it all.
Awesome. Mary Shortle, thanks very much in your limited time, last couple of days as president. Does it end on Sunday, or do you stay on until or anything like that?
No, it ends. Well, actually, it ends tomorrow because the election for the governance, right, the council, federal council, is tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's good. I got a couple of today. My today has a lot of roles in it, and my tomorrow is mostly just sitting back and listening, which is fabulous.
Once the hard work's done.
What I love to do.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, we'll be listening to and watching for the next leader of the party on Sunday. Thanks again, Mary. Really appreciate it as always. Take care.
Oh, my pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye. All right, off to the break, Matt, and coming back, more talk about tinted windows and events at the Geraldine Rubia Center coming up.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the show. As promised, tinted windows. Ramona on line 1, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, first of all, let me congratulate Patty Daly. I just heard that on the airways there. I'm so delighted. I knew it wouldn't be long before someone would have grabbed him.
No, and people said, and people have said, like he didn't have anything on the go at the time and all that, and lo and behold, he didn't. And it's been a few weeks, so you can see that the overtures were made and position was found, and he found something he wanted to do, and good on him. Whatever, it's a personal decision, and that should be period. And that's it. What are you going to say? People judge other people on their personal decisions. Give me a break.
Right.
So go for it. What's up?
Yeah. So they couldn't pick a better person for dealing with policies, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, like, Paddy can run the gamut on all of these issues, so I'm sure he'll do great.
Yes, and more, and much more.
Sure, he'll do great in that position. Any position he could have took there, that's great. So, what's on your mind?
Anyway, tinted windows. That's been bothering me for a long time.
Me too. It's what do you do about it, right?
It's as far as I'm concerned, it's the responsibility of the government. They make those rules, and it's never followed up. Now it's gone so far. It should have been nipped by the bud right in the beginning. Now it's gone so far, like everything else, it's hard to deal with.
Yeah, it almost falls into that category. Rules are made to be broken, but not that they were. But we have standards, guidelines for everything in the world. And so when it becomes a vague area like that, you have standards, you have guidelines that should be followed, but people are going to push the envelope, like driving 5 or 10 kilometers over the speed limit. At what point do you rein it in?
Well, when it gets out of hand, that's when they rein it in.
Sure.
This is no big deal until it is a big deal. As far as I'm concerned, they protect the criminals more and more. I just see that a lot.
Yeah, it also seems to me, too, it's in the world of, what have you got the time and resources to focus on? Well,
exactly, but if you nip it by the bud in the beginning, it wouldn't take as much time to deal with it, right?
I agree, but how do you nip this particular issue with tinted windows in the bud? Because, you got to keep up with, people will continue to have them. They'll have them custom installed, whether or not, the garage is, registered and reputable, and people are doing it on their own. And, somebody mentioned, the test or the laser that you do on the side of the road. The police can actually do these inspections, or at least a preliminary inspection of windows if they pull you over on the side of the road. I just don't know the whole process for that these days. I'm sure it's been streamlined. Maybe they can give you a summons, and then you can, have it tested and then, dispute it or whatever. But, it seems pretty technical, and maybe something that police don't have a lot of time for. And when there's no...
Oh, definitely. Yes, I agree with you there. Like I said, it's out of hand now.
Yeah.
And, it's definitely out of hand. The police can't deal with it. I mean, there's so many of those going around. It's unreal.
It is true. It is true. There's a lot of them out there, which speaks to how do they keep up with it, right? But I know your point too. Nip it in the bud in the beginning, but there's nothing to stop it from happening. So you're playing catch up constantly, right?
Yeah. So if they had it the first time it happened, and someone had tainted windows, they got charged. Well, then people are not going to do it. It was too easy.
You would think, wouldn't you? And the other thing is, too, I find, Ramona, with these issues, is until something happens, until they are the cause of something, whether it's a fatal accident and somebody can point right to the fact that, the driver's view was obscured or could not see the person on the crosswalk, if somehow it comes back to the tinted windows, in the news business, in our business, we keep an eye out for those decisions. And sometimes a court will go out of their way to email that particular decision because it might be a precedent-setting case or a significant issue in the public realm, which this one is. I mean, we all see cars. 1 out of 3 that I see in the run of a day has some kind of tint.
Oh, yeah.
So, until like anything, like school buses, people talk about seatbelts on school buses and all that sort of thing. Until there is a specific example that pushes the government's hand or pushes law enforcement's hand to crack down on something, until there's a tragic accident. Sometimes that's what it takes, before they act.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes when they act too severely. From one extreme to the other in some cases. But it's you're supposed to have your vehicle in certain, the tires good and everything else good. But why not include the windows at the same time, right? When this first started, it should have been stopped. That's my opinion about it, right?
Well, I think a lot of people agree with you. Again, the problem is cost. I've said it before. The answer to all your questions and concerns is money, because people can't afford, new tires are expensive. People can't afford to fill up right now, let alone put a set of new tires on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's why you'll see probably a few more beaters going around than maybe even usual, So, I mean, the inspectors are aware of this. And you can only catch so much, and we only have so many resources. I'm not making excuses, of course.
I don't expect the police to deal with this. I mean, this is something now that's out of hand as far as I'm concerned. They can't deal with that. Yep.
I guess some of the more, maybe some of the more blatant examples, you see some cars, they're completely blacked out. And if they're in the right... Yeah, you
wonder who's hiding behind those glass windows, right?
It comes down to time and place, like if the police, if you pull up to a four-way stop at the same time as a police car and they see you're fully tinted, they're probably going to do something. But it's just But if you pass them at 15, 60 kilometers an hour down Elizabeth Avenue or something, probably not so likely.
No, that's right. I mean, if they were being, charged, you wouldn't see as many vehicles going around with tinted windows, right?
Yeah, and if
it
those...
seems like it's just ignored. That's what it's just a thing now. I mean, it's, like I said, it's after getting out of hand, and the police can't be bothered to deal with that. That's not their... I mean, they've got so much. I understand. Everything is overtaxed now. Police, everything. So
yeah,
it's getting nipping it in the bud. I could never understand why the people were getting away with it so long. I've seen it everywhere in Ontario and up. When I'm up there, holy mackerel! How do you deal with it now?
Yeah, get the horses out of the barn, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'd be great to see more people.
My rant is.
No, and I appreciate it. There's more calls coming in for it. Some things, as we've always said here on this show, you never know what's going to pique an interest on a particular day. So.
Oh, yes, this has been bothering me for a long time. As soon as I heard it this morning, I said, I'm going to phone in.
Well, I'm glad you got it off your chest, and you were spurred to do so. That's the way we rely on callers to attract other callers, really.
Yeah, you're wonderful. It keeps us all going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Ramona, for the call. Don't be a stranger.
Yeah. No. Okay, thanks.
All right, take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye. What do you want to do, Matt? Will we take a call or go to an early break? What would you like to do? All right, let's go right to line number 3. And Gary, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian Medore. How you doing?
Brian Medore. Brian Callahan with you, although the other Brian Medore, that's okay. There's 4 Brians here on staff, so.
Our Brian. Anyway, it's Gary calling from the Geraldine Rubia Centre at 41 Shaw Street.
Yes, sir.
We're a centre of activities for adults with special needs in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also 100% volunteer. We have some activities coming up now over the next number of days that I'd like to let the general public know.
You fire away. I'm looking at them here online as we go. Give her. All yours.
All right, so this coming Sunday we have... breakfast with the Easter Bunny. That's getting underway at 9:30 until around 11.
Nice.
And also the cost for that is $5 for kids, $7 for adults. And we're going to be serving your hash brown, your sausage, your egg, toast, tea and coffee, and juice for $7 for adults and $5 for kids.
Okay.
Also, we're having our first annual I guess we call it the Easter Turkey and Ham Raffle Sunday as well at 1 o'clock.
Right.
So, the general public are more than welcome to drop down at 41 Shaw Street this Sunday at 1 o'clock for the Easter Turkey and Ham Raffle. Get your turkey and ham ready for the Easter for next weekend.
Keep it going.
And also, I'd like to talk about one more thing about the... Good Friday, we're having a fish and chips day on Good Friday from noon until 4. We're going to be serving a one-piece fish and chips, dressing, gravy, coleslaw, and a drink for $16 taxes in.
Okay, I'm hungry now. All right, thank you.
Right?
Oh my God, it's only 10:30 on a Friday morning, but I could do that right now.
Exactly. Yeah, we all could. And for the Good Friday now, we'd like to know by, I guess, Holy Thursday, next Thursday, like if you'd like to, you can eat in or take out entirely up to yourself, right?
Yeah, and let family, neighbors, and friends, everybody wants.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely right.
It's great service to your Rubia Centre. Like we have many of these centres that pick up, what the government can't necessarily have the resources to do, although they do fund and help and support. But these organizations like the Rubia Centre are just invaluable. So, we have all the time in the world for any other announcements. Anything else you want to get out there today?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for your support, and I want to thank I guess the listeners for supporting the Rubia Centre as well. So we really appreciate that, right?
How's the karaoke out there? I hear she.
Oh my God!
Tell me about it.
Right now we have a Geraldine Rubia karaoke contest happening, and it's tremendous. Actually, it's the contestants and the clients are just really enjoying it, and are really stepping up to the plate when they know that they're competing with other ones to head themselves into the championship. So it's fantastic, right?
Yeah, I've heard rumors. That it's worth the cash. Like
it is, right? And like I said, our centre, and hats off. It is run by 100% volunteer, which is fantastic. And most of our monies to support the centre comes from our lunches that we offer to the general public, usually 4 days a week. And you can see our calendar on the Rubia Centre website. Just Google Geraldine Rubia and you'll find it there, right?
And, just last thing, Gary, for people, who weren't aware of the Rubia Centre and, now probably listening for the first time, and for adults with special needs, how can somebody just hearing this, what's the best way for someone to get in touch, whether it's a loved one or anyone else wants to reach out and be a member of the Rubia Centre? What's involved?
The best thing to do is actually give the Geraldine Rubia Centre a call Monday to Friday.
Okay.
And we'll let you know, because normally what we do is we normally allow new clients, adults with special needs, to come down and, see what we have to offer for a week at no cost. And once they decide whether they're going to join or not, there is an annual fee of $25 per year.
That's a steal.
And that would include your complimentary tea and your coffee every day, plus periodically throughout the year, we offer free lunches to our members. So in actual fact, they get their money over and over to get it back, right?
And just the community, right? The community, the get together, we all need that kind of support.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
So
our membership is excuse me, sorry, Brian.
No, it's okay.
Our membership it's quite almost up to the max that we're allowed to have here at the centre.
Yep. Okay.
So
good to know.
That's kind of good to know as well, to let people know that we have a wonderful facility for adults with special needs. And have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm Gary Furlong, and I can be reached at 722-4338.
4338 722-4338. That's great, Gary. And look, the numbers and all the contact information, just in case people are just tuning in and didn't get all that, they can give us a shout here and we can help them out with that. But the Geraldine Rubia Centre website and 722-4338.
Thank you very much.
There you go. No problem. Thanks for calling.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right, Matt, off to the break. Back with Brian Keating. Wants to weigh in on the Mayor of Placentia's comments yesterday regarding the Port of Argentia and taxes and all of that fun stuff right after the break.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number one. And Brian Keating, you're on the air.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, former Marystown mayor, I should say, Brian Keating, and almost got the, you were so close in the provincial election. How you feeling over that still?
It was the most enjoyable 3 months I ever had running, meeting all the people in the district. It was enlightening for sure, we'll say the least.
Sure.
But what I'm calling about today, I listened to the mayor of Placentia yesterday, and he spoke with a lot of passion, and I really understand what he was going through, because what people fail to forget, they got a beautiful port there in the Port of Argentia, and he made some points about the Port of Botwood and the Port of Stephenville. But people forget, on the Bjorn Peninsula, Marystown is got an ice-free harbor there. We've got two of the top-notch facilities for building all kinds of ship buildings, all rig repairs, everything with the town of Marystown here, which services services two districts, Placentia West Bellevue, Bjorn Grand Bank District. People from Terrenceville to Lamaline comes to work in this shipyard and Cowhead facility in Marystown. And he hit a very good point when he said the provincial government are forgetting about rural Newfoundland ports that built Newfoundland and Labrador. Marystown, at one time, there were 6 oil rigs in our harbor. The Cowhead facility is a state-of-the-art. The Mar Base was the Marystown Oil Shipyard. That ran for decades. But what the problem is going on in Outport, Newfoundland is now, with our representation is not speaking up first, for one. But the biggest thing, when these fine facilities are staying dormant for such a long period of time, everybody knows what the startup time would take and cost to get these back up and running. Right now, Kiewit, and my hat's off to Kiewit, they're looking for work, but there's no work coming here. I reached out to our MPs up in Ottawa and had a good talk with them. There's so many military contracts here. You remember, at one time, Argentia, of course, Stephenville, and they had military bases here. They might have been a U.S. military bases, but what's wrong with putting military contracts, federal military contracts in the town of Marystown's area, the shipyard here, which benefits about 50 small towns around the area. So right now, he had a very good point. We got no tax money coming in because there's no employment there. We got no work coming there, so those businesses are suffering. But right now, I just want to remind our MHAs, our MPs that rural Newfoundland built Newfoundland. And we just want to be considered and reached out to. And I know we need representation, but I want to say, with the state-of-the-art facilities we got in Marystown, I don't know why there's not more attention from our MHA and even our MP in this area to give some attention to this area. It looks like we're the forgotten red-headed stepchild. And I'll be honest with you, the residents of this district, the residents of Marystown and surrounding areas, are fed up with no representation. We've got ice-free, one of the deepest harbors in North America, and we don't even see a sailboat come in anymore. So what's wrong with our provincial government? What's wrong with our federal government? It's not PC liberal. We just need someone to stand up and say to us, we got a great mayor in the town of Marystown now. He's came from an industrial background. He's fighting every day, but we're getting nowhere. I've done it for 4 years. It seems like all rural Newfoundland is forgot about, even in Botwood, Stephenville. But you know what? The Bull Arm facility is actually in this district, but we're competing with the Bull Arm. We got a floating dry dock now they're promising from Bay to North to be built. We're not sure. The money's not sanctioned yet, so we don't know if that's a pipe dream or a fairy tale. We're all in great hope and all. Whatever the PC government can do to get work in this province, I will support, and everybody in this district supports. All we're asking is that let's see if we can get the Bjorn Peninsula and Marystown with the state-of-the-art facilities all ready to go, get some consideration, at least get some consideration, get some talking, get someone to stand up and stomp their feet. Every day we're all listening to the chirping going on in the House Assembly now, and I wish they all stop the chirping and work together to get economic stability back to this Newfoundland and Labrador, because that's what we need.
Yeah, there's a little bit of decorum has sort of filtered through the House since that first blow up and Paul Lane put them all in their place. And there's a certain number of redheads out there who are going to absolutely nod their head in agreement with what you just said there. Oh, the poor redheaded one.
I got a redheaded daughter, so I can get away with it.
So you speak from experience, or at least firsthand. Brian, a lot of good points there. I've got a couple of messages here actually saying to me, please ask Mr. Keating about the status of the Marystown shipyard. There's a lot there. You're absolutely right. That was a key part of what Mayor Jamie Neville was speaking about yesterday. At least a consideration, because I think if you went to government and said, hey, look at what we've done to build, infrastructure in the rural parts of Newfoundland, give us something. They would say, well, that's great, but we have other considerations. We have to read the realities of our times and on and on. But then yesterday, and the announcements are coming fast and furious from the federal government. I mean, the billions that are coming for defense contracts, and then you have Beta Nord and the tieback work. If we're not going to get the top sides, which, again, we just don't know. We can't say any of these things for sure. First of all, we only have a benefits agreement, so there's no actual agreement to do Beta Nord yet. It's not even been sanctioned. But by all indications, I mean, a lot of that work is going to come from locally, most likely the tieback infrastructure that's needed to connect these different oil fields, and to make it, so they don't have to build an FPSO for every single one, or a rig, or a platform, or anything like that. The efficiencies that are going on within the oil industry around the world right now is absolutely off the charts fascinating. The markets that are being sought after and all the rest of it. But that kind of work, it's early days. Some people might say, I mean, Carney we know where he's going with this, and the billions that they're rolling out, and they're talking about trillions. It would be shocking, quite honestly, the way that the provincial government is talking, that some of these yards aren't getting any of this work. I mean, obviously, Bullarm is the target, but the Marystown dormant, what's not happening down there is the story. Is there anything going through the Kiewit plant or the Cowhead fabrication facility right now? Is there anything going on there, just as an update?
No, well, I have talked to some of the representatives, but they're bidding work. They're trying to get work, but right now there's very few employees there. Actually, at the Mara base, which is the old Marystown shipyard, they got one or two. They were lucky enough to get the feed contract, unloading feed contract back there, but that's only like 6 or 7, 10 employees. That don't, at one time, between the Cowhead facility and the Marystown shipyard and the fish plants, remember, we lost all our fish plants.
Yeah.
But what I want to give something that people don't know. People say, oh, well, location. Well, let me give you, and I'm sure the sailors of old and nautical people are way more intelligent than me to say this, but you can leave Argentia on the Argentia ferry, and an hour and 20 minutes you're passing by the windmills in St. Lawrence. So it's only an hour by ship to Marystown. So they can't use location for that reason. You come around the Bullarm, it's actually to go right around St. John's to come in, it's actually 21 hours. So Marystown is not, that location is not acceptable. The location is perfect. We're in a sheltered harbor. Right now, we'll say Bullarm has got a small shelter, but the Marystown harbor is completely sheltered, way even more than Argentia ferry. Can't go in there a lot of times because of the wind. So our location is perfect. Our workforce, and everybody says, oh, there's lots of workforce. No, we need some more tradesmen. We got tradesmen, but the shipbuilders of the old are not here. But those trades are nowhere. There has to be specialized trades people bring in. Marystown can bring them in. We had the top side at the White Rose. We brought travelers in. Right now, Newfoundlanders are traveling all over the world for work, so we'll take people in, because when you bring people into your communities, they might love your community and stay. They'll spend some of their money here. So the OZ spends for the tax base, and the tax base that comes in from these projects helps the seniors in the area that everybody keeps forgetting when you're paying $2 a liter for gas. Seniors still needs gas. They still needs food. So the benefits of these outports surviving are so beneficial to the provincial government and the federal government and mostly the municipalities. So all I'm asking for the people out there to call your MHA, call your MP and say, stop forgetting about us. Make a little noise. Even if you want to whistle, let's whistle. At least a whistle is some noise. We need our MHAs, our MPs to start realizing rural Newfoundland matters. Rural Newfoundland, built Newfoundland, Labrador.
Well, you said it all there in a nutshell. I was just thinking back to St. Lawrence and the issue with the fluorspar mine and all that down in there. That dock issue that they had, I think they had to try to find a better place. Would that have any, way of enticing, making the docking ability? Is there a connection there whatsoever? Because when you think about tiebacks in the offshore, and you just mentioned the short sail from Argentia to Marystown, it seems like there could be a pretty good partnership here. I'm just wondering what docking considerations there are for those larger vessels and any marine contracts, because I know when they were talking about the Canada fluorspar mine, the former mine, that one of the issues that was holding up the expansion was just trying to find that, what was it called? Not Blue Bay, Blue
Blue Beach.
Blue Beach. Right. Is that still a hindrance, or is it the marine terminal there?
Well, we all know that Mother Nature is the boss no matter what. Blue Beach is a very volatile beach, but I think they're working through it. But right now, that's without speaking out of turn, there's a potential of a large load-out wharf being built in the town of Marystown.
Yeah.
And when St. Lawrence loaded out the last time, they went through the Cowhead facility. But just imagine if we can put that kind of infrastructure and stuff in, that will benefit all the businesses, the mining industry, the oil industry. Right now, people don't realize if right today we're getting 40 to 50 mils of rain. If we had another washout on the Dorn Peninsula like they had a couple of decades ago, we're isolated.
Yeah.
We got nowhere to load. So people don't realize it only takes 3 days with no food, no gas, and no transportation off this peninsula. We are isolated. We need somebody to finally stand up for us. And if that means I got to come on open line for the next 3 years or the next 5 years, that's what I'm going to do, because we got a great council in the town of Marystown. And I worked with all the councillors before, St. Lawrence, Grand Bank, Townsville, all those towns, Bay Large, and all those little towns. They all want the same thing. They want the peninsula and this area to prosper, and that's all we want.
Yep. You've said it all. Former Mayor of Marystown, Brian Keating. Thanks very much for that. We'll keep an eye. All of these contracts are being awarded. We'll see what comes out of it. The provincial government seems bent on getting everything exchanged for not being able to get the top side. So we'll see what can be negotiated. And I look forward to those calls. Who knows who the host will be, but the show will be here. So thanks, Brian. Appreciate the call.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Take care. You too. Alrighty, it's a little bit past the break. Let's get right off that. Come back with Walter talking about blue spaces all over it right after the break.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to the show. Back to line number 2. And Walter, you're on the air.
And a very good morning, sir. How are you?
Right back at you. Very good. Thank you. For Friday, mozzie as it is, I'll take the warm today, and I'll freeze my you-know-what's off later on tonight.
Wonderful stuff. I won't be taking too much of your time. Your show is fantastic, and I know there's much more important callers than I. I just wanted to mention one quick thing.
Yes, sir.
We, as a respectful society, when we recognize that some individuals aren't able to get around physically as good as they would like to, we say to them, here, take this blue placard and put that in your vehicle, and we're going to put parking spaces as close as we can to the entrance to whatever building you're going to, and we want you to use that, most times free of charge, because we care about how your day goes. We don't want you to be stressed out. We want you to enjoy your day as much as possible, because 100% of the people 100% of the people who have to use a blue zone parking space, I can guarantee you, wishes they could park at the very furthest parking space and bolt, run, jog, hop, skip, whatever.
So true.
To the door, but they can't. So we say to them, here, please take advantage of this, and we want your day to go smoothly. My issue is there's far too much abuse of people who have no blue zone parking spaces. They just park there, and the laziness and the loudishness and the inconsiderate behavior of, I'm just popping in for a minute to drop off this, or I'm just popping in for a minute. It doesn't matter if it's a minute or 30 seconds. It doesn't matter. That is not a place for you to park. And folks who have, there's many folks who have a blue zone parking space, and they'll park their vehicle there and they'll go in, and some people might say, she don't need that, or you don't know why somebody has it. It could be a lung issue. It could be a heart issue. It could be a vision issue. It could be anything. What I'm talking about are people who have no blue zone parking space, take up that blue zone parking space for no reason other than they're lazy and they're inconsiderate. So I would ask the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, I would ask the St. John's Parking to please up their patrols of these blue zone parking spaces, because it's affecting some of the most vulnerable people, and they won't complain. The people with the blue zone parking spaces, they won't complain. They just go about their day and they do their absolute best. But to pull in and to not have a place to park because somebody has taken up that spot, that's unacceptable.
Walter, you have gotten the thing under my skin today, that's for sure. And it extends beyond blue. I mean, blue parking, absolutely, the space is for, everything you said. Thumbs up all around. The problem is, of course, first of all, we assume, and we should never do that because we know what happens when you assume. But you're trying to get in the headspace of these other people. It's a constant struggle. You know that they're not in the same thinking. People will look at me and say, what are they thinking? And you made the point. We don't know what they're thinking because they're not on the same plane that we are, whereby you look at it, you know it's wrong. Your conscience tells you your conscience tells you it, and your pocketbook, because, you can get a $400 to $700 fine for blue zone parking, even though people don't seem to care. The other one that gets me is people parallel parking between the orange pylons that the liquor store puts up. They think, I don't know what they're... I mean, look, I walk to I live close to a grocery store, so I try to walk there as much as possible so I don't have to deal with driving, navigating through a parking lot. And it's good for your health. But I can guarantee you, I get to that Sobeys, and I'll just say it's Sobeys. It's not their fault. It's hard to police it. There's like 4 or 5. You're all just in the fire lane. So it's the fire lane, the blue zone. They don't care. I'm only here for a second. But they're not on the same, not playing with the same deck of cards that we are. So they don't care. And changing attitudes it's a glacial process.
And you know what? It's sometimes a learned behavior. I agree with what you just said there. It's a learned behavior. Everything is a learned behavior, whether it's having a young child in the vehicle and you throw out your coffee cup or you throw out this out the window. That child is going to learn that littering is okay.
Right.
Same thing with parking in these spaces. And when I say that I would prefer, I know that the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary are swamped. When I say that I would love to see the increase in patrolling of these blue zones, it's not about getting money. It's just about getting these spaces back to the folks who really need it the most. And I can guarantee you, if you spoke to 10 people who have a blue zone parking permit, I would guarantee more than half will say, Brian, I don't use it, unless I'm really, 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 really sore that day, or
That's right.
I just can't get around. So they choose to not use it when they're permitted to, when other people choose to use it when they're not permitted to.
Yeah, and the other thing, Walter, it's abused too. I mean, I think we've all seen people able-bodied, and I know what you're saying. They may have some other condition, but, there's a limit. And when you see a person in their young youth jog into the store from the vehicle that they just parked in a blue zone, sometimes you can question, I don't know. But as you said, you don't know what's going on, and just the same as when you're driving down the road and a car is doing something erratic or dumb or wrong, you don't know what's going on inside that vehicle, whether it's a conversation, whether it's an animal, which, of course, is illegal too. Walter, only because I'm right up to the news and a little bit over. Thanks for the call. Quick wrap.
A quick wrap. You don't have to be an angel in this world. Just don't do anything that negatively affects someone else's life.
Here to that. Thanks for the call.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks, Walter. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right, off to the news. My apologies to Mr. Medor and company. We'll be right back.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number one. And the PCMHA for Lewis Port Twillingate and the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Jobs and Growth and the Minister of Rural Development. A little bit of time on his hands. Mark Butt, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you, sir?
Good. Some busy people in there, but you must be one of them. And I see this constituency week, so I see you had a little get-together with your constituents this week. What's on your mind?
No, just want to highlight, this is my first constituency week after the 3 weeks of sitting in the House, and it was just an honour to get back out into the district. And my constituency assistant and I, we took my office, which is normally located in Lewisport, and we went to Twillingate for the day just for better access. And I just want to say that we had a wonderful turnout, great discussion. It was fun-filled day, and later on in that afternoon, I had the opportunity to attend a grade 10 career class at JMO's Collegiate there in Twillingate, and discussed my journey, my political journey to the class, which went over very well.
And life journey, I would say. I think, during the election campaign, there was a lot of, you get to know a lot about the candidates. I mean, you've survived some life-threatening things over the years, have you not?
Yes.
More than politics.
More than politics, exactly. Yeah, no, like I've mentioned before, and like you just alluded to, I am a cancer survivor twice, and I always joke with it now because now I can look back and put a positive spin on it because that's the way I try to look at things. Right. I always said if I get cancer a third time, I want a free T-shirt.
Well, I guess you can have that attitude now. Hey, I mean, look, I can only imagine.
Like I said, I can look back at it. But no, getting back to the class, the JMO's collegiate class, they were fabulous. Like, I was kind of not worried, but kind of concerned. Like, somebody my age, my stature, and then my position going into a graduating class, grade 10 class, talking about my political journey. Now, let's face it, talking about politics to a bunch of 10-year grade 10s is like watching paint dry. But I'll give them a complete hats off to them. They were very attentive, very good, great questions, very attentive. I mean, it was absolutely wonderful. To the fact that word travels, and now I've been contacted by other schools in the district, and they're wanting me to come in and talk to their class as well. So it's absolutely positive. I'm enjoying this to the fullest.
And can be, as you just alluded to, a little nerve-wracking trying to relate to teenagers these days, high school students, who are in a different world than a lot of us were when we grew up. Let alone the social media and the FaceTime and the screen time and how things have changed and the videos and all the rest of it. I have a teenager in high school, so just trying to make sure you stay up to date with it and covering all genres and all ages, Like, I mean, you're the rep for the district, not just for adults, trying to make sure that you cover off all the things that are important to youth too, And to hear that you got a great reception and they're all listening and they're into it, that bodes well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, one of the messages I try to pass along is like I'm trying to do the best I can for the district, best I can for the province to keep them here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Just to increase the likelihood of they can find employment, meaningful employment in this province is what ultimately my goal is to keep everybody here, keep everybody working, keep everybody happy.
Mark, what's the number one issue? You're in your district all week. What are you hearing number one, top of mind? Is it Baden Nord? Is it Churchill Falls? Is it roads? Is it cost of living? What's the number one thing overall that you're hearing?
The number one thing is cell phone service.
There you go.
Yeah, that was the number one. About every person that came in to the Lions Club there located in Twillingate, that was their main concern was cell service. It's like that everywhere across Newfoundland and Labrador. There are a lot of dead zones, a lot of dead spots, but it needs to be addressed. And that's part of the platform that we ran on was safer communities. Ultimately it involves safety. So if you can't get cell service, if something, heaven forbid, goes wrong, you can't reach out to anybody. But with proper cell phone service, you got that little bit more safe feeling.
So what's your step toward that? I guess, obviously there's a lot of federal regulation. There's a lot of the providers. We all know that in certain areas they've managed to come together. In a lot of cases, unless it makes financial sense for the provider, the government is going to have to step up and try to, fill that void or at least subsidize some of the cost of the infrastructure that goes into place. But you're absolutely right. It's a safety issue more than just a convenience issue. That's for sure. What kind of commitment can you make? Just, not just as an MHA, but a government MHA in that area. What do you tell people when they say we need something yesterday?
What I tell people is that, this is at the end of my political journey. If I can make anything better, I want to make cell phone service better. Full stop. That's it. I'll walk off into the sunset a happy man if I can get a better cell phone service for the district. But it was, like I said, it was great conversations I had with Twillingate. It was wonderful. Actually, I enjoyed every minute of it. As with any district in any area in the district, I fully enjoyed conversations. Just last night, I met with the local service district of Browns Arm, with the wharf community, and heard about their concerns about their local wharf and their conditions. So a
lot of communities dealing with that.
A lot, especially after this winter with the winds and the rain, a lot of destruction. But I'm listening. We're listening too, as a party, as a government. We're listening to them.
Much feedback on decorum in the House? Anybody on your case for that? Not you specifically, but
no. Actually, I got a few friends that commented, "How come they haven't heard me yet?" So.
So you got to step up your game. Is that it?
Yeah, I just keep telling them I'm just getting warmed up. To just hold on.
Yeah, your time will come.
Yeah, I'm not known to be quiet, so my time will come.
Yeah.
Especially when usually when I get a chance to go drive out into the district, I'll usually stop at the local Tim Hortons there in Lewisport, and it's always a great time to chat up with a few of the gentlemen that usually stop there in the morning for their morning coffee. But
that's the spot. Yep.
There's always, I always refer to it as the local Tim Hortons caucus. So,
and I will bet, Mark, that beyond cell service, the price of gas is a big deal. The pressures on the government to not just hold the line on the 7.5 that was reduced, but to go further. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think there's that can happen? Will your government do that?
The oil prices are volatile.
We know that.
It's right now. It's hinging on a word from anybody. If a certain person says a certain word, the price of oil will skyrocket or it'll plummet. And right now it's just an uncertainty. But with our platform, and we're going to permanently reduce the gas tax to 7%, 7 cents off a liter. That way, then communities, especially in rural Newfoundland, can better plan because then they haven't got to wonder about the price of gas.
Yeah.
If it's going to fluctuate the 31st of March. Now they can plan, they can budget that this will be a permanent reduction in the gas tax.
But we know people are asking for more. People are hurting, and it's gone up 40 to 50 cents now in the past little while. Brent is over 110 on a regular basis. And look, the government is raking that profit in. 25 million for every dollar it goes up. So, I mean, we've been making money. I don't know the exact total. And I know that the energy minister said, it's only been 20 days, and that was a week and a half ago. So there doesn't seem to be any light at the end of the tunnel. So, I'm sure your members, and I know you're just one MHA, but I'm sure your constituents are pushing for a little bit more. It'd be hard to believe they weren't.
Well, to be completely honest, I wish it was free. Yeah. But, it's just a reality now is, we're $948 million with a deficit, and
growing
with
every day.
Fiscal planning, we got to get out of this hole. So if we can just, yes, I know that we make X amount of money off a barrel of oil, and with the price of oil now, the barrel, it's increasing our coffers, but we still have that $948 million deficit to face at the end of the day,
and a lot of promises to keep.
It is. Well, we're committed to the Blue Book and what's listed in the Blue Book. We're still running on the three pillars of lower taxes, better health care, and safer communities. And I'm a full believer in that.
Mark Butt, right at the break. Thanks very much for your time. Good luck back in the House next week. We'll be listening for your boisterous, support of the government agenda. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks again, Mark. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, on that break, let's see. Ed wants to talk about crazy drivers. Me too. And Lisa Dempster is in the house. Not in the house today. She's on the line waiting to get on. The opposition House leader from Liberal MHA for Cartwright Leinster. We'll get talk to both callers right after the break. We'll be right back.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Welcome back to the program. She's blowing up here with Blue Zone and Fire Lane issues, and rightly so. I'm just going to go to one quick one. Had an email from a senior in Mount Pearl. When I park in the Blue Zone, I will, when time permits, tell the people parked illegally in the fire zone. Well, first of all, I advise against engaging, because you never know, what that person is like, what might trigger, what might set them off, and it's just, and then you just feel horrible afterwards, because what does it really gain? Because people are in a different mindset. But anyway, this person said, that's my recommendation there. And she goes on to say, I think she goes on to say, I saw the police at Dominion not giving out illegal parking tickets. Somehow it gets them moving immediately, and they even thank me for letting them know. Message is, don't mess with a senior with too much time on their hands. All right. Well, advice taken. I know what you mean. There was one line I think I said to one person just one day, because they seemed reasonable. And all I said, as soon as they parked in the fire lane and jumped out to walk in with me, next to me, just right next to me as we were both walking through the door, I just said, they're ticketing all day, those spaces. The police are all over the place, and they're ticketing all day. That's all I'll say. I don't give them off. I'm opposed or for what you're doing. Just letting them know there's a big, expensive ticket just waiting for you. And sometimes they go back, but most times they just look at me like I have 10 heads. Let's go to line number 2. And I say most times. I've only done it once. Ed, you're on the air.
How are you this morning?
I love your chuckle. I'm pretty good. So some of the emails we can't put on the air, but anyway, go right ahead.
Well, if I have censored some way.
Yeah, but I'm tempted. I got to be honest. Anyway.
Oh, I know. Hopefully, one of these days you'll be like that. You never know.
Yeah.
But it's a nasty day out here. I mean, the car is shaking and everything. I'm parking, and the car is just shaking like a leaf here.
Yep.
I'm basically calling in for one thing, because I came out here to do a bunch of messages and doing this, that, and everything else. So, I mean, I don't know what is going on here today, but I mean, the roads are in bad shape. You got potholes everywhere. You got a lot of water buildup on the roads. It's highly dangerous on the highways because of hydroplaning and people having tires that are not suitable to be on a vehicle in the first place. I have no idea what some people are doing today, but I mean, boys, you got to slow down. I mean, are you in that much of a rush to run into a coffee shop, cut people off and all that, and almost cause a T-bone collision for a coffee? I don't think so. You're not that bad. There's no way. And if so, leave early. Just be safe driving. Be cautious what you're doing. Keep your eyes open. Watch out for other drivers. But there's no need to do like 120 kilometers an hour in an 80 zone and basically end up out sooner or later up a ditch. I mean, there's absolutely no need of it.
Speaking my language 1,000%, Ed. The only problem is, again, we don't know what's going on inside those vehicles, whether it's impairment, whether it's crisis, whether it's just a complete lack of care for their own well-being or others that are coming the other way. It's again, right? It's a mental task. You don't know what's going on in that other person's head, and we're all different, and we all work on different levels. And some of us, as a previous caller said, there is a learned behavior. There's no question. Kids will. I'm uber aware. I've always been aware of my daughter in the back seat whenever I'm driving. And every little thing I know she's watching, and she comments on, and now she's 17, has her permit, and I watch her repeating the things I did tell her under my breath when she was 13, 14, 15. It's amazing. So if I'm throwing a smoke out the window, instead of wanting to get the smell or the ashes in the car, they're watching that. If I'm, doing whatever, distracted, a dog up in your lap, and another one in the back seat running around. We've seen it all, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I look at it this way, especially people driving. It's like, if you drive too fast, eventually you're going to stop real fast, too. And not necessarily where you want to be, which could be out in the ditch, over a cliff, in a river, pond, anything you can possibly imagine. Right?
Yep.
It could be you could get stopped by the police, and all of a sudden your vehicle is basically being towed for doing twice the speed limit for some foolish and stupid reason under any condition. But when it comes to weather conditions like this out here today, you got to have some sense in your head to realize that, if you're going to be driving in conditions like this, and you happen to be in a certain particular situation that all of a sudden your steering don't function anymore because your tires are lifted off the road because of the water. And when those tires hit the pavement again, you may be going in a completely different direction that you want to be. And you could be literally 100 feet out in the woods or over a cliff or in a rock face or anything or into other cars.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
and unfortunately, slow down is the key one. Absolutely. Unfortunately, until something happens to somebody,
Yeah, I know.
That's
the sad thing. That's the really sad thing about it,
It really is. There's a couple of spots. And look, I said yesterday, driving around. Yesterday, there was one period, a 10-minute period where I had to get, in the middle of town. Wouldn't think it's the most complicated drive in the world. But if you don't drive slow around these high snowbanks and take those turns really slow, there are people walking. There's cars coming fast to the intersection. It's you're inches away from accidents all day. But it was like, I swear to God, Ed, it was like a video game yesterday. The things that were jumping out in front of me, the little tests, the things that you got to avoid, the maneuvers. Like, you just have to inch around. If you want to truly get there in one piece, you have to inch around. Simple as that.
Well, there's one bad spot I found out there yesterday. Was it about in Patrick Street? I called it anyway. You physically cannot see to your left to see anything.
At Water or Hamilton Avenue?
No, it's a snowbank.
Down at Water Street? No, I mean at Water Street or at... on Patrick.
Right on Water Street.
Okay,
Water Street, Patrick Street, in the bottom. There's a big giant snowbank, and you can't see anything coming towards you. Like nothing. Soon as something comes around the corner, they're like right on top of you. So you have no. You have to, no matter which way you look at it, turn right if you're able to even get to the right. Go down the road, go in the parking lot, turn around, and come back down because you can't turn left there.
To safely make sure. Yep.
Nothing. Right. Nothing. And there's a few places around in Mount Pearl like that, too, and in St. John's. And I don't know why the snowbanks are like that. I don't know why anybody's not calling them in to get them removed because, that's highly, highly dangerous. And it's just going to have a T-bone accident.
Yeah, in some cases, we're looking at the weather. You see an 8-degree day with fog and rain. You're probably going to wait and see if all that gets eaten up before you spend money on trying to remove it. So there is...
Oh, I know.
There's a bit of that going on.
It's been there for a while, apparently.
How about Mount Avalon? That's a good one.
Well, it's like in the one in the Avalon parking lot. That's what it almost looks like running the very end of Patrick Street down the bottom. It's all black, so it's been there for quite a while.
Yeah, I mentioned that the other day. Mount Avalon, it's like a piece of granite now. That one might not go away. You know, we see eventually throughout the summer. I remember the Village parking lot a few years ago, maybe around Snowmageddon, I'm not sure, but
I was the only one taxiing out there during medical people back and forth senior citizen complexes.
Yeah.
Right? I was the only one doing it. So, believe me, I know what Snowmageddon's all about.
Yeah. Oh, God. I shouldn't have even brought it up. But the other one, too. I live downtown in the Georgetown neighborhood, and you have to do that in every intersection. I just come to a complete stop, and I'm inching. And I literally mean an inch at a time because there's a lot of one-way streets. The snowbanks, there's nowhere to put the snow, so they're all over the place. So that keeps me, grounded when I go anywhere else in town because it's as bad as it gets there as far as visuals, and being able to see out around an intersection as anywhere in the city. So, Ed, look, I'm right on the break. I appreciate the call. These kind of calls are so necessary just to keep it top of mind, even for the people out there who are bombing around who don't really care. You never know. You just might get one,
Problem. And hopefully if something does happen to them for any particular reason, there's someone going to stop and help them out to get them out of the situation they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are good people out there to do that, too.
That's right, Joe.
Ed, appreciate the call. Thank you. Don't be a stranger. I'm back next week, believe it or not. So, anything else you want to get off your chest, I'm right here.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man. Bye. Okay, take that second last break of the day, and right back, as I promised, with Lisa Dempster, the Liberal opposition House leader, and Tony going to talk about some government goings-on. That should be a good back-to-back right after the break.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number one. And the opposition House leader for the Liberal Party and the MHA for Cartwright, Lancel Clare, Lisa Dempster, you're on the air.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. I heard your previous caller talking about some snow and challenges, and actually this is my first day that I'm not on the road for constituency week because we're down under heavy snow here on the coast, the southeast coast in Labrador. So I thought I would call and do a little recap of my constituency week on the ground.
I'm all ears. Go for it, Lisa.
Wonderful. So as some of your listeners would know, the House of Assembly sits for 3 consecutive weeks, and then we take what we call a constituency week. If your home address is 10, 15 minutes or even an hour or so from Parliament, from the legislature, probably not as big a deal. But if like me, you're on the coast, you represent a district that's a 9-hour travel day each way, we don't get back and forth every week. And even when I'm on the ground, it's hundreds of kilometers every other day moving from town to town, small population spread out. So some of the things that I have heard that I take very seriously, it's good to get back connected with the people that hired you, and then we bring their voice to the floor of the House when we get back and get going at it again on Monday. But probably no surprise to you, number one is health care. Yeah. And I'm getting that on 2 levels. I'm getting it across my very rural, remote, and some isolated communities. But as the Shadow Minister for Health in this province, I am completely inundated with the saddest stories, many that are low-hanging fruit, as one of my former colleagues would say, that could be taken care of. But so on to health care, I think the number one thing I've heard from folks is around the medical transportation assistance program. No surprise. When you live rural, you have to travel to access specialized services. We have a medical transportation program. It's been in place since 1998. It came under me, actually, in Budget 23 as the minister. We did make a number of enhancements, but now, cleaned it up, staffed it up, shorter turnaround on claims and things like that. Tony Wakeham, as you would know, in the Blue Book, he said, from now on, when our first budget comes out, nobody in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador will have to pay for medical transportation. We will cover 100%. I can't tell you how many questions I'm getting on that. I'm as anxious as any of my electorate to see what is that going to look like. Is he going to guarantee that every patient will truly pay $0 for medical transportation?
And not even up front?
Right. Well, right. And I'm wondering about the budget. How do you budget? When we combine the income support portion and the medical transportation portion, we were running about $13.8 million. I'm going a little bit from memory. But now he's paying 100%. Is it going to include your escort? Is it going to include orthodontists? Is it going to include the people who are out of province waiting for transplants, which some is there 8-9 months, some is there, sadly, 2-3 years? Those are the questions that I'm getting. So I will be quite anxious. I know the program well, and I'll be combing that with a fine-tooth comb. I do want to say, if he announces this program, as he's saying, 100% all in, I will support that. Even though I'm in opposition now, I've been in opposition before. I'm actually the only one on my team that served in opposition back in 13, 14, 15 time frame. If it's good for the people that hired me, I got no issue with that. I'm not sure how he's going to deliver. I want to move to the next number 2 thing that I heard on the road, hostels in St. Anthony. We had a number of hostels that closed up during a few years ago, and there was a lot of work had to be done. It is moving at snail pace. It is impacting all of Labrador and further up the Great Northern Peninsula. If you have to travel to St. Anthony to see a specialist, a doctor, you want to stay in those hostels. I was guaranteed they would be open by early December. And I remember saying to the COO of NLHS at the time, my folks aren't very happy, and they're going to be more unhappy if they aren't open by December. And she said, I'm not going to be very happy either if it doesn't happen. Here we are. We're just about April. I had constituents that sent me pictures. Doors are piled up by the cafeteria. There's one lone person doing some painting and moving around furniture, and it's just not good enough. And I can't even get an answer to an email on behalf of the people that I represent as to when we can now expect those hostels to be open. No doctor in Forto. I've been trying to encourage, met with the minister, with a number of my leadership. We had a doctor that was interested, but they don't seem interested in meeting that doctor halfway. Meanwhile, as I've traveled all around the area, people are angry that they're struggling so much with health care, and you can bring in a political advisor and pay him from MCP funds. And you can paint that picture any way you want, but at the end of the day, the agreement was black and white, political advisor, MCP funds. And we have never done that, despite what they have said. If we've had a doctor that was brought in, they're being paid within the budget in the department they were in, not as a political advisor. So that has just really added to people's aggravation on this. And my final comment from the district before we move to the House, road work. The budget came out $0 for Labrador. Labrador just put 75% of its elected officials back in the government. 75%. 3 MHAs, 3 sitting MHAs are PC members. They must be ashamed today that the road work came out. We were starting road work on the branch, Charlottetown Access, 29 kilometers. $3 million in the budget. Engineering work was done last summer, ready to go, canceled. Make your plan going forward, but it's a bit emboldened to be canceling to expect that people can still travel on a dirt road for medical care.
And so much for the political patronage card on whatever government is in power gets the lick of payment. At least in that case.
Terrible. And then the final thing is the Red Bay Wharf. The report came out.
Yes.
It is really scary. The wharf is dropped. The timber is getting soft.
When is that Basque whaling ship due? Lisa, when is the Basque ship?
In the summer of 27. So she'll be Danao San Juan, the replica, will be doing sea trials in Pasaya, Spain this summer, and then in 27. And it's one thing to say it's an eyesore, let's get some paint and let's make it look a little better. But what an embarrassment to have an event every bit as big as the Matthew, and we all know that. If you're, that summer of 1997, I lined up with my 2 small children at the time.
So many of us did. I'll never forget it.
Right, and I'm going to continue to tell them this is a safety issue, a public safety issue, And it's on them right now. They are the government. They're driving the ship, and it's on them to find a way to make this safe for the provincial, national, and international people that will come to see this huge event.
2 minutes
Back
left.
to the house, if I got another minute.
I got you. Yeah, you got a minute and a half. Give her. I didn't want to interrupt. Go for it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we've been debating Bill 5 in the House, and that is, to reduce the gas tax permanently. As you, I'm sure, are aware by now, we have submitted an amendment. We want them to go a little bit further. And the reason we want to do that, and I heard you say it this morning already on your show, is there is millions more coming into the Treasury right now, millions more daily. $1 equals $25 million to the Treasury. We know people are hurting. We're hearing every single day about that. We even wanted to give the finance minister, give him the power so that as the money goes into the Treasury increases, give the people of Newfoundland and Labrador a little break, just like you campaigned on. What happened? Thursday night, about 11 o'clock last week, before we broke for the House, they brought in Standing Order 47, and basically it took me back to 2012 when they invoked closure, bringing in Bill 29, which was going to provide an amendment to ATIPA at the time, and just add a whole lot of secrecy around Cabinet, reduce transparency. And so the opposition, the Liberals at the time, were filibustering, and they invoked closure, shut it down, got national attention, draconian piece of legislation. Here we are, all those years later, a government who ran on transparency and bringing in a standing order, which I think the last time it was brought in was in 2011. And when they talk about for all of us, well, I can tell you this is not good enough, and it's not good enough for all of us.
Wow, that's a lot. And you know what? I wanted to give you uninterrupted because there's a lot going on. And Lisa, look, we'll be watching the debate next week, especially on the gas tax, because that right now is the most immediacy to a lot of people when we talk about cost of living. I wanted to get in. Maybe you can.
I'm hearing from people. I can tell you, people are looking at the flyers to decide to see, is the milk on this week, is the sugar on next week. The stories are very, very sad. It is a challenging time. But when the government has the opportunity in their reach to do something, and they talk about the $1 billion deficit, but they don't talk about the $2 billion that was there when we formed government on November 30th in 2015. I remember those days. I remember us going to Ottawa, securing the $5 billion loan guarantee, the $500 million that we got to put in every year in the budget to save seniors from experiencing rate shocks on their electricity. And people's memories are short, and we need to remind them, now you're in government, there's lots of asks, there's not lots of needs, but you ran on making life better for the people of the province. It's in your bailiwick to do so, and make a move and fulfill your promise.
Lisa Dempster, opposition house leader. It's hard to get, still trying to get used to the flipping government. But the Liberal MHA for Cartwright Lance-Clare up in the big land today. Thanks, Lisa. Very much appreciated. We'll be watching closely next week.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great rest of the day. And I hope I'll say now, in case I'm not on next week, I want to wish all the listeners a beautiful Easter. It's always the best time of year up here in the big land, ice fishing and connecting with family and lots of cultural and heritage activities for sure. So have a great Easter, everyone. Take care.
You got it. Thanks again. Okay, Matt, right off to the break and a couple of calls to go, and then we'll finish up for the week right after this.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
Into the home stretch. Going to try to squeeze in a couple of callers now. Give them a few minutes each. Let's go right to Tony on line number 4. You're on the air.
Yes, sorry, this morning, Brian.
Hey, Tony, and let it never be said that we don't balance out the calls from one party, maybe support than the other. So go for it.
Yes, you don't have to criticize the Liberal Party. So all you got to do is listen to what they're saying.
Yep.
You have Lisa Dempster, who was complaining because 29 kilometres of road never had done. She was in power in 10 years until last October. Also, Red Bay, she's talking about the worst have been they've basically gone so badly, they pleaded so badly that they got to replace it and everything. Why didn't she have it done? And why did they let it go so bad? Why didn't they upgrade it every year? She was in there for 10 years, done nothing. She was the one that's going to separate from Labrador when she was in the opposition, saying that they were neglected. And that's all she done since she went in there. And the same thing with healthcare. They never had any. That's all she had to do was listen to Open Line. They never had a doctor, never had a nurse. I mean, the NDP, remember, was on there all the time about it. They had, in order to see anybody, they had to fly out, which cost them $1,500. They didn't pay anything. She never done a thing. The only thing she said, she wished people would be quiet and not out complaining. So, I mean, for her to get in there and see all this stuff that was going on, and the same thing with the hospitals. She was telling me they were 2 years now shut down. Why didn't you have them open? Like all this stuff they're saying, they're the ones who was in power for 10 years, done absolutely nothing. Only waste money.
It's a vicious circle.
So,
yep.
She went, it's like she was in Spain, her and the crew took over to Spain to look at the boat, and you turn around on absolutely nothing, knowing next year they were coming here, but at the same time done absolutely nothing. The whole thing. I mean, it's unreal how they get on when and you wouldn't know what they're in opposition for the last 10 years. They done absolutely nothing.
And I always want to say, Tony, and I'm not going to interrupt you much because we don't have a lot of time, and I want to let you speak, but the kind of pejorative language that we use, absolutely nothing, that's inaccurate. That's not true. And you should have to realize this. To say a government did absolutely nothing, people say it all the time, and it bothers me to no end. Those are the kind of statements, the blanket statements. If you think a government did absolutely nothing, they did something. They did a lot of good. And all governments do some good. They never do enough to satisfy everyone. Sorry to interrupt.
They've done a lot of stuff when they're in there. What they've done is shut down the province.
And they didn't shut down the province either, Tony. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to let these little statements go side to side.
They turn around, they had doctors in there and they had nurses in there.
Sure.
You had doctors who graduated here. One doctor graduated here. They never even offered him a job. You had respiratory therapists. None of them graduated, and not one of them got offered a job. We get the little people come in from the other provinces. They offer them jobs and bonuses. You had 8 respiratory or radiation therapists quit in 9 months, and they were getting paid $10 less an hour. So you can go on and on about all this, about what's going on, but that's what they had done.
What?
Went right back
I can go on about what?
Oh, I said you can go on and on about this and that, but what they done, you had another doctor from Trepassey. They wanted her to go from Trepassey, Foxtrot, to St. Mary's, and she only asked for $7,500. That's all she asked for to pay for her car. They wouldn't even do it. They dragged out the other doctors for 4 years, and then the last one, he told them, you either take a contract, you take what we're offering, you take it or leave it. We've had doctors leave here because of it.
Sure.
We've had nurses who had quit. We had nurses that quit and turn around because they had to work sometimes 36 hours in a row. We got this going. Nurses union leader was on saying how wonderful the talks are going so far. Number one, they're talking about this taxes, the gas tax. They were putting this permanently. They said that in the House. They're putting this permanently in and just reducing the same thing as the Liberals done, but they're putting permanently.
Yeah, they're going to continue on with what's there. They're going to continue with what's there, and the request is, this is different. We need more taken off it.
How is it when it was over $2 a litre when they were in power, and they turned around?
You're going back in time. You're going back in time. What matters is now. We can review everything that the former government did, but it's a waste of time, if you ask me. Tony, people don't care right now. Right now, do you really think about what the former government did matters to the person who can't make the ends meet?
Because they're the ones who are struggling with all the taxes they put up in place. Over 300 tax and fees. And then, you had thousands of people die because they couldn't wait.
How many people?
Years.
Thousands
of people. It's in there other thing.
Thousands of people where are dying?
In here in the hospital. It was 4 years
Thousands
ago.
of people.
The doctors' union should have came out.
Thousands of people.
At that time.
Thousands.
She was saying at that time was after him passing away.
You know what you're saying when you make those statements, so go ahead.
Right? Well, that was the doctors who gave out there about 3 or 4 years ago. And anyway, on top of all this, you have the health science in there, the new Waterford Hospital. You have that put in there. And they paid $40 million starting off more, and then they turn around and cut 40 rooms in afterwards, and you pay them the same money. So I mean,
but they got the place built. Does that count for anything?
They got a place built. Look what they cost, and you built it too small, like you did down in Corner Brook.
Okay, so it's always going to be right?
But I mean, yes, because they've done it. I mean, you got what's his name on there the other day? That was right now the opposition leader. Saying you asked them about they were saying about Baden North. Mm-hmm. They never negotiated the top size because they said they were going to the other countries. They never negotiated the floating dock. She said, "Well, we discussed it, but basically nothing." So what?
Yeah, you're right there, Tony. You're right. I'm right on there. I wanted to try to find out the other day to what extent, and I never really got a clear answer to what extent the floating dock was a part of the Liberal one. So you're dead on. Spade. Yep.
I mean. Yeah, and they never come up with anything.
Yep.
And I mean, and he said that this MOU for basically Gullong and Upper Churchill Falls. He said that was an MOU. It was only an MOU working on an MOU.
Tony, listen,
But at the same time,
I'm sorry, really.
In the news,
Yeah, I got to wrap it up.
He was saying in the news that he had his mind made up that it was a great deal, the best one you want to get. So I mean, they can't tell the truth. I mean, it's honest to God, it's just unreal. And I could go on and on about the healthcare and everything else that he brought up, like and their Parsons area. He had a member on there that just got elected, and he was saying about how he had to go for hours and had to pay out of their own pocket, and the courtroom was closed down once again.
Tony, listen, I welcome you. People are going to shout at me and say, "Oh yeah, you gave Lisa Dempster all the time, but you didn't give Tony any time." Well, you're not both the same realm, but look, I will just say I'm really sorry. I got to get one call quick in. Please call back next week. I'm not giving you short shrift. I mentioned right before we talked that I could give you a few minutes each. And I've got to make time for James Richardson, who's on the air right now. James, sorry, I only got about a minute and a half. Give your best pitch for Man of the Year.
Not a problem. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, no, we got. I'm calling in from Artistic Fraud Theatre. We're out here in Corner Brook at the Arts and Culture Centre. We got one night only performance of Man of the Year, which is a brand new rock musical based on the songs of legendary Newfoundland songwriter Sean Panting. And out here in Corner Brook, it's tomorrow night at 7:30. And it's featuring some amazing Newfoundland artists like Andrew O'Brien from The Fortunate Ones, Geraldine Hollett and Phil Churchill from The Once. And that's just a start. So it's going to be pretty. It's like a rock and roll concert meets play. It's pretty epic. It had a fantastic run at the Majestic in St. John's, and we got one last kick at the can tomorrow night here in Corner Brook.
This is as good as the acting gets in this province. I know all of the people involved. I've seen them perform before. These are pros. You're going to see top-notch theater and a great story. Panting's a beast. He's great.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.